Chapter 19. Saturday lunchtime. Back home, Doreen unloaded the groceries, put on coffee, and led all the animals outside. She took her laptop with her, sat down on the grass, and leaned up against the post of the little set of existing steps, even though they were dirty. She had no lawn chairs, something she hoped to rectify soon. She proceeded to look up Ed Burns's daughters. According to the articles she found, the Burnses were a religious family, and the girls had done their duty to their father well. But somewhere along the line, he hadn't done his duty to them. Even though he was a multimillionaire, he had left them nothing. Everything had gone to his vagabond son. Immediately, of course, there had been an outcry from the townsfolk, but, with the girls not having any money to legally fight their brother in court, and the brother not being of a generous mind set to help them out, he'd taken everything, and had stepped into his father's role. Doreen smiled at that. "You know something, you little egotistical sad excuse for a brother? We just might have to check into this. The fact that a set of special tools came from your father's collection makes me deeply suspicious about you and all that you may have been up to." Her gaze caught on the corner of the ice pick. She walked over and took a look at it again. Then she texted Mac. "Any chance this ice pick has bloodstains on it, not just rust?" She didn't get an answer right away, but could see the pick was so coated and so rusted that she didn't know what the process would be to find blood on it. A lot of stains were evident here, but whether that was just rust or other chemicals degrading over the years, she didn't know. When her phone rang, she picked it up. "Yes, Mac, it was just a question." "You really think it's involved in something?" "It's definitely dirty and covered in stains, but I have no idea what they are." "Who are you thinking about?" "I was thinking of Ed Burns," she said. There was silence on the other end. "He's dead now." "You remember that?" "He had a heart attack. He was old, and nothing suspicious was ever considered about his case." She frowned as she studied the tool. "I'd still like the pick tested." "Lab resources and all that cost money," Max said. "I can't imagine it'll bear any fruit." "My gut says it's involved in something," Doreen said. And that, at least, was the truth. But she'd need scientific evidence to make Mac happy. "I'll think about it. I might do a couple quick tests to see if I find any human blood on it." "That'd be a good place to start. Do you have a mobile test like that?" He stayed quiet for a moment. "You do," she cried out happily. "It doesn't take a whole lot," he said. "I'll talk to somebody and get back to you." She put her phone down on the step beside her, then returned to her research on the Burns family. Ed Burns had made his money in orchards, and the girls had worked beside him the whole time. According to the articles, they'd been a very close family. One of the sisters had married and had a son, but he had died young, and her husband had died not too long afterward. "That's a terrible grief-stricken life," she murmured. Then to realize what happened to the sisters later, that made her very sad. Burns hadn't been dead for more than 10 years. She thought about the ice pick being out there for that long, and nodded. "It might not be connected to anything going on with Fred and Frank," she muttered out loud, "but it could be something important surrounding the death of Ed Burns." About 20 minutes later, she heard Mac's truck pull up outside her house. She bolted to her feet and went to the front door. "This is becoming quite the habit." "You better have zucchini bread this time," he threatened as he hopped out of his truck with a small kit in his hand. She looked at it with interest. "What's that?" He motioned for her to go back inside, so she walked into the kitchen and waited for him to join her. She was curious about the small kit he'd brought, but he walked past her and headed out to the deck where the ice pick still lay. He opened his kit, took out a little spray bottle, and asked, "Coffee?" She glared at him. "Do you get coffee anywhere else, or just here?" "I have to get something for making all these damn trips," he muttered. She sighed and went back inside to put on coffee. As she returned, he asked, "Zucchini bread?" She crossed her arms over her chest and said, "Get on with it. You're not getting zucchini bread until the coffee's ready." He nodded and sprayed part of the ice pick where the wood met metal and the sharp edges in 2 spots. There was also some inset wood piece too, which he sprayed as well. After a moment, he took out 3 Q-tips and wiped off the residue at all 3 locations. He used a different Q-tip for each of the different places. "I thought you were supposed to do it in reverse," she said. He held up the Q-tips and waited. Sure enough, they turned color. She gasped and stepped forward. "What does it mean?" His tone grim, he said, "Human blood. On all 3 spots."